Hello students, welcome back to the channel. So in this video we are going to study the whorls of the flower in detail, members of that. So first of all, outermost whorl of the flower is calyx. This is the outermost whorl. And member is known as sepals. So condition can be that all these sepals, they can be free or they can be fused. So if the sepals are free, we will say this condition is known as polysurplus. The polysurplus means sepals are many and they are free. Okay. Example of polysurplus condition is your mustard and radish. Or it can be that the sepals are many but they are fused. So this condition is known as Gammapetulus. When the sepals are fused. An example of such type of conditions is seen in Datura. It is also seen in the cotton and brinjal also. So these are the few examples where you will find Gammapetulus. Now see modifications of the sepals. Actually, sepals are green in color and their work is to protect the flower in bud stage. But sometimes the sepals are modified. They are modified to form pappus. And this means it is actually, you can say, it is helping in the dispersal of the seed. Okay, so you will find in the family of the sunflower. It is seen in compositive family. Seen in compositive family. And compositive family is also known as, now we call it as Asteraceae family. That is sunflower family. So we are finding that the sepals are becoming into hair-like structure which is known as pappus. The sepals are becoming hair-like structure. And they help in dispersal of the fruit. Another modification is seen. It is actually shown by one plant that is known as musenta, and it is making an advertisement flag. So advertisement flag. Because the sepals are, petals are not colorful there. In such plants, what is going on in the calyx of musenda, one of the sepal will become large and leaf-like, okay? It will be very colorful also to attract the insects. And we say it is actually like an advertisement showcasing itself, I am here, means flower is here, please come for the pollination. So to attract the insect, it is shown by the musenda. Sorry, just a sec. So here one of the sepal become large and colorful. Large and colorful, and purpose is to attract insect. Is it clear? Now in case of the trapper, what we are finding, it is actually becoming spinous also. In case of trapper, we are finding spine is made by the calyx. So spinous sepals. It is example is trappa. So spinous sepal is present in trappa. I hope this much topic is clear to you. And their work is for the protection of the fruit. And they are meant for protection of fruit. So sepals modifications is clear. Now let us see the durations of sepal. Now see for the duration. One is your condition when the sepal fall just at the time of opening of flower. Then this condition is known as caducus. The caducus condition means, caducus sepal means, sepal will fall at the time of the opening of flower. An example. Here the example is your poppy plant. Example is the poppy plant. But if suppose the sepal is falling after the pollination is done, then we say it is known as deciduous. Means here what is the condition? Sepal will fall after pollination. After pollination is done. An example is your mustard. But if the sepal does not fall only, as you see in case of the tomato or in brinjal, you're finding the crown-like structure which is present. Then we say that is known as persistent sepal. Persistent sepal means sepal will not fall only. Sepal does not fall and remain attached to the fruit. It does not fall and remain attached to the fruit. An example is your tomato. Okay, example is tomato as well as in brinjal also. These are the few examples. So I think so the outermost word calyx is clear to you. The Polysurplus, Gammapetulus conditions and what are the modifications and what is the duration of sepals. Now let us start with the corolla. Now see the corolla, which is the second whorl of the flower. Okay, it is the second whorl and it is colorful. Its main work is to attract the agent for pollinations. Agents are generally insects. And the members are known as petal. Same conditions if suppose the petals are many and if they are free, then you will say it is polypetalous condition. Polypetalous condition when the petals are many and they are free. So we will say petals are free. They are not fused. But when the petals are fused, then you will say Gammapetulus. Petals are fused. Now example is, we'll be discussing the examples in detail now. Now see if suppose I'm taking the shape of corolla in case of polypetalous. So let me take the case of polypetalous first. The polypetalous conditions will be actually, petals will be of different shapes. They can be cruciform corolla. Cruciform corolla. Cruciform corolla means the petals will be 4 and it is seen in the mustard family, which is also known as cruciferous. This is the way it is a cross-like structure they are making. Okay, they are making this cross-like structure. So this is known as cruciform corolla. Example is your mustard. Second, if you see here, rosaceae. Rose, if you know the rose, each petal is free, so it is polypetalous condition. And they are actually having one type of corolla, we call such corolla as rosaceous corolla. Now, why we are giving the special name that rosaceous corolla? Try to understand. In the rosaceous corolla, the stalk of the petal means claws. They are not that much present. They are, you can see claws are absent, and their structure is spreading out regularly outward. So you understand, let us assume this is one petal. So this is the limb and this is the claw. So this is claw, okay? And this is the limb structure. So in case of rosaceae family, claw is absent. Claw is absent. So example is your rose plant. But if suppose claws is present and it is making 90-degree angle with the limb, is it clear? 90-degree angle. The way I've drawn right now the diagram with the 90-degree angle only I've drawn this diagram. If you check this diagram, the claw and limb angle is 90-degree. Check. So such type of corolla is seen in the dianthus, and that is known as caryophyllaceous corolla. Caryophyllaceous corolla, where claw is actually making 90-degree angle with the limb. Both are present and at 90-degree angle. An example is your dianthus. So these are the form of corolla. So these all we have discussed the form of corolla in polypetalous condition. Form of corolla in polypetalous condition. Clear, beta? Now we'll be discussing the form of corolla with the gammapetulus condition. Gammapetulus condition, there are different forms are there. One is your bell-shaped. These all are given in your NCERT in the theory line, okay? Bell-shaped is also known as campanulate. Example is your tobacco. It can be tubular also. An example of tubular is your disc floret of sunflower. If you see the sunflower, the center black, that is disc floret. So it is present. Example is your disc floret of sunflower. It can be funnel shaped also. If it is funnel shaped, it is also known as infundibulum. The funnel shaped is also known as infundibulum. The example of funnel shaped is your datura or petunia. Another form, it can be wheel shaped. It can be wheel shaped, which is also known as rotate. An example of rotate is your brinjal. So these are the few examples, the form of corolla in case of gammapetulous condition and as well as in case of polypetalous condition. See, next is your zygomorphic polypetalous corolla. Zygomorphic and Polypetalus condition. So in this one example is only there with respect to pea plant, and that is known as Papilionaceous corolla. It is known as Papilionaceous corolla. See one thing, it is having one, this one is your posterior side, okay? Posterior side is large petal. This is large petal on the posterior side, which is known as standard or also known as vexillum. Which side is it? It is known, it is present on the posterior side. Okay, beta? It is present on posterior side. Then two lateral. The vellum covers two lateral petals. So position is lateral, and these are also known as wings or alae. Position is lateral. And these both lateral will cover the next anterior one which are fused together. They will cover the anterior one which are fused, okay? So these are the two, and this is known as keel or carina. Keel or carina, and they are present on the anterior side. So standard is only one, number is only one for the standard, it is only one. Wings are two and keel is also two. So we write it this way, 1 plus 2 plus 2 fused. Okay, this is fusion actually. This is the fusion. This is one petal and this is another petal and this is the fusion line. So we'll write it this way, and this is known as Papilionaceous corolla. Example of zygomorphic Gammapetulus. Gammapetulus, an example is your bilabiate. Okay, in this actually its best example is Tulsi plant, which is present in generally everyone house. So you see the Tulsi plant, which is also known as biological, it is known as oxymum. Okay, which is also known as Tulsi. So in this you will find there is bilipped corolla is present. This is the way bilipped corolla is present here. So this is known as anterior lip, because we have to say bilabiate means two lips are there, and this is your posterior lip. So these are the different forms of corolla. Now let me show you the diagram in the combined. Now see, this is a cruciform corolla. We have already studied all these things, but just see once again. This is the cruciform corolla. Okay, cross, it is making a cross-like structure. Caryophyllaceae, which is making 90 degree. Okay, remember this diagram? I was telling this is a limb and this is the claw making 90 degree. In the rosaceae, the claw is absent. Papilionaceous, right now we discussed this is your polypetalous condition, but it is zygomorphic. Polypetal, which is zygomorphic. Okay, zygomorphic, in which this is your standard wings and two keel. Then this is your Gammapetulus, tubular form, disc floret of sunflower. Campanulate, bell-shaped. Infundibulum, that is funnel-shaped. And rotate like wheel-shaped. Is it clear? And see, this is the example of the bilipped corolla. This is the upper lip and then lower lip. The bilipped corolla is there. Now we have to study with the estivation topic. Now see, estivation. Estivation means mode of arrangement, sepal or petal in floral bud. The mode of arrangement of sepal or petal, both, okay, in floral bud. Now different types of estivations are there. See, first of all, let us assume I am drawing this one petal. Check the diagram carefully. I have drawn 5 petals and they are lying adjacent to one another and they just touch only at the margin. If they are touching, they will be touching only at the margin, this way only. Okay, beta? This is a type of estivation which is known as valvate estivation. In this case, right now I have drawn, there are the 5 petals I have drawn or 5 sepals you can take and they are free. And if I have to fuse, then I have to do this way. This will indicate gamma condition. Before that, it was poly condition, Polysurplus or Polypetalus. And if I do this way, then it means it is gamma. So this is the valvate estivation. Next type of estivation, see carefully. In this type of estivation, you're finding one margin of a petal cover adjacent petal. Okay. One margin of a petal will cover adjacent petal and other margin is covered by another petal. And this is the way it is going on. So this is known as twisted estivation. If you leave it this way, it means it is Polysurplus or Polypetalus. But if you draw this line this way, if you are trying to show it gamma, then you have to just fuse it this way. It means it is gamma. Either it is sepals or it is petals, anything it can be. Is it clear? Now, next type of estivation, we have studied the Papilionaceous corolla. In the first video, we have studied, in this video only, we have studied Papilionaceous corolla. So that is a type of a maxillary estivation. Because the standard, this is a standard which is known as vexillum. Standard, which is also known as vexillum. Then 2 wings. Wings are also known as LA. And 2 keel. So this, and here I have to show the fusion. So I am just doing this way. So this is keel or carina. Because we are giving importance to vexillum, so this is also known as vexillary estivation. Here we will not do any other fusion, only this type of fusion is only there, that is shown by the keel. Is it clear? Now another type. Now see carefully. This one petal is totally on the posterior side. This is posterior side. And check. One petal, the posterior side is totally overlapped. And the anterior side is overlapping. So if you check the diagram carefully, let me use another color just for your understanding. You know very well, this is your anterior side and this is posterior side. So what we are finding, anterior one is overlapping the posterior one. Okay, anterior one, this one is overlapping this one. This is overlapping this one and this is overlapping this. So we will say anterior is overlapping and overlapping. So as a result, posterior one is overlapped. Posterior one is overlapped. So this type of estivation is known as imbricate. It is known as imbricate estivation. Is it clear? And it is also known as ascending imbricate. Ascending imbricate. Now come back again to the maxillary estivation. Check in the maxillary estivation, the posterior petal. Posterior petal is actually overlapping the lateral anterior one. And the anterior one is totally overlapped. Anterior one is totally overlapped. So it is coming from the posterior side and overlapping starts, and as a result, anterior is totally overlapped and we call such type of imbricate. It is also known as imbricate, but this is known as descending imbricate. So maxillary estivation is also known as descending imbricate. Is it clear? Now see the last most type of this. See carefully. This is your one which is totally getting overlapped. sorry, this will be overlapping. Sorry, this will be overlapping. These two are getting now overlapped. This is the one. If you see in this diagram, these two are the one which are overlapping. Clear? And these two are the one which got overlapped. Only one is in twisted condition. So in this type of estivation is also known as quinceal estivation. It is also known as quincenal estivation. Now let us study the examples. For volvate example is your mustard. Okay. Calotropis. For twisted example is your ladyfinger. Cotton. China rose. Vexillary example is your pea, bean, gulmohar. Imbricate example, sorry beta, it's not gulmohar here, just a sec. Gulmohar will not come here. Gulmohar example we have to write in the imbricate. Imbricate is gulmohar. Example is gulmohar and cassia. And your quinceal example is your murraya. So I hope this estivation topic is clear to you. Okay. Now let us move to the